But the question on devolution, because you sit at a point of governance, is you're talking about the gains of the Constitution 2010 being devolution at the time when devolution is struggling on its own. First, on the basis of resources, and two, on the basis of operation. In terms of, we've had governors complaining about interference from national government in the things that have actually been devolved. When you look at health and all that, you're talking about the strikes of doctors, those things. We've also talking about the interference in terms of procurement. Yes. Right now, we have an issue of medical equipment that was forced down the throats of county governments. When you actually want to declare it as a gain, it's almost ridiculous because the reality on the ground is different. How do you feel? Because you've mentioned that again, what is the state of devolution?
The status of devolution, yes, challenges are there. And every journey has its challenges, the beds and curves. There is no straight line, especially in matters of leadership. However, there is a provision for accountability. I would first start with, or pick from where Madam has talked about, the issue of implementation of the law. I would first say that upon the Katiba being promulgated, there was need to operationalize the Constitution through legislations. And this Parliament, the Parliament that I think the 12th Parliament has enacted 512 pieces of legislation to operationalize. You know, we had a time frame of implementation of 5 years that the laws are supposed to be. There was a schedule of legislations that were supposed to be in place. I would say that has substantially been covered, maybe 90%. I know one of the major contentious areas is a gender law that is even threatening the abolition of dissolution of parliament. But now coming back to the issue of devolution and the success, I would say that devolution, first and foremost, we established 47 county governments that were not there. Previously, we had 175 local authorities. And now establishing 47 county governments, even albeit with their own challenges, I think is an achievement. Second, we have had over 2 trillion shillings going down to 47 counties.
Since inception of devolution?
Yes, since 2013. We are also talking about other conditional grants. That is from the national revenue. We are also talking about grants and other conditional grants that still go to the county government. So there are resources going there. We have structures in the counties that work where the issue is leadership. The issue is the rule of law. What we discuss, the rule of law and calling to account. There is also the challenge of national government crawling back. There is the overlap where, for example, agriculture. Yesterday, the Council of Governors chairman talked about the behavior of the Ministry of Agriculture, trying to still go down, yet agriculture is a devolved function, where the cabinet secretary has gazetted laws and regulations on tea, pyrethrum, sugar, which is not supposed to be. So that, of course, the spirit now there goes offline, because with agriculture being, in fact, number one of the devolved functions, that lies principally with the county governments. It must, if it has to happen, it has to happen in a consultative manner. There is interference and a crawback on some laws. You see what was established as the health commission to take care of the strikes, the CBAs, schemes of service, work environments for health workers. Yes, it is there. It has been established in law, but has it been consultative involving the Council of Governors, who are the ones who are the consumers, so to say,
of devolution?
Of devolution. So this health commission, where is it standing? Is it a national government structure, or is it supposed to be for the county governments? Because the national government role is in health is only the health policy and the referral hospitals. In matters of IFMIS, procurement, there has been calls repeatedly for the counties to have their own IFMIS program that allows them, upon the revenue allocation, to be able to undertake their own procurement process, so that it is time bound. But when you release, you open the IFMIS at Nairobi,
the National Treasury.
Yes, at the National Treasury a week before the closure of the financial year. And you want commitments, you want absorption of that. That's why counties have about 50% of the absorption. The one that tries so much would be 73%, according to the reports that we have analyzed by the Office of the Controller of Budget. It means that the national government is failing the county governments in regard to revenue allocation, the timings of when you are releasing the disbursements. Disbursements, by the way, are in law, Public Finance Management Act, are supposed to be done quarterly, but now they have come to monthly. That is illegal. It is irregular. It is not within the law. And that, yes, as much as the counties need the resources, it needs to access the resources within the law.
Okay.
Yes.
Wakili, you've also mentioned one of the gains as the Bill of Rights. Yes. And it comes at a point when we are seeing the most brutal abuse of human rights, police brutality. We're also looking at illegal arrests and and detention and all those other things. As we're speaking, there are people who have been denied bail in courts, in local courts and all that. And I think from a perspective of law, they say even the devil deserves representation. So when you actually enlist Bill of Rights as a gain from the 2010 Constitution, we've continued to see a lot of provocation against that, and the advancement of anarchy, as Dennis usually likes to call it.
We have seen a lot of anarchy, police brutality, abuses on the Bill of Rights. That's true. That's for sure. And we cannot run away from that. One thing that the Bill of Rights does is that even as this is happening, this has not started happening now. This started happening way before we even had our beginning of the clamor for the Constitution.
Correct.
I think even in colonization, we had a lot of this kind of brutalities, and it's happening the world over. What happens is that the Bill of Rights now protects us, and it gives us the mechanisms to seek better protection, to want to come out about it and actually say that this is what is being done to me and this is wrong. We have seen more people coming to the courts, which have now been tasked with. We have a whole division that deals with constitutional abrogations. And we look at it in terms of, this is one of the checks and balances that have been given by the Constitution in terms of the protection of the rights of the people. We have now we have articles that give us provisions where even as a person, where your right has been infringed on, you don't necessarily have to approach the court by yourself, but any other person can do it on your behalf where they see that a right has been infringed. So we have a text that actually enhances the protection of the Bill of Law, much as we do not respect the letter of the law. And I like what Mr. Mburugu had talked about in terms of the illegalities and the irregular application of the law. Right from the top. We see a lot of things that, I mean, to a normal layman will see that this is an illegal provision. This is not what the law says. This is not what is provided for by statute. But we still go ahead with it. Why? Because we have had a system where we have a very weakened judiciary. By law, the judiciary should be what checks the executive, the executive powers, as well as the legislature in terms of the laws that they make. Now, when it comes to the judiciary, we have seen that the judiciary has been extremely weakened, whether by design or by default. We have a judiciary that is not independent as it's supposed to be by way of the letter of the Constitution. The Constitution literally looks at the executive, legislature, and the judiciary as totally independent bodies that should work independently to check each other and make sure that the Bill of Rights has been enforced. Now we're looking at a situation where, for example, funding to the judiciary has been cut off. The judiciary has actually been put by Treasury as a department that has to be funded through something else. Yet the judiciary is actually an arm of government. this is just one of the examples in which the judiciary has actually been compromised. We have seen places where we have interference of the judiciary and judicial decisions by the executive, for example. This is totally a disrespect of the rule of law, of the supremacy of the Constitution, and what we should be having to protect the Wananchi with what has been given in the Bill of Rights.